excuse me. Good evening and welcome to the City of Pasco Council meeting. The council thanks you for being part of our city government, and at meetings, the city council takes formal actions on items, holds public hearings, and conducts other business of the city. Following the Healthy Washington Roadmap to Recovery Phase 3 requirements, the city council may conduct in-person meetings while continuing to provide remote access to the meetings until the Washington state restrictions are lifted. Therefore, facial masks are required to be worn at all times while in the council chambers. If any individual is unable to comply with this order, then the meeting will be recessed until compliance is met. If compliance is not met, then the individual refuses to leave the chambers, then the meeting will either reconvene only virtually or be adjourned. Agenda packets are available on the City of Pasco's website at www.pasco-wad.gov/agenda. Please note that the City Council meetings may be accessed through GoToWebinar. This meeting is also being televised live on Pasco TV channel 191 on Spectrum Cable in Pasco and Richland, and is streamed on the city's Facebook page, website, and YouTube channel. This and previous council meeting video is available on the city's website. And lastly, the public may submit their comments and or questions by contacting the city manager or city clerk, or using the feedback form on the city's website. So with housekeeping issues out of the way, good evening, council, and we will have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Alvarado.
Present.
Maloney. Milne.
Present.
Roach.
Present.
Serrano.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Barajas.
Present.
And Mayor Martinez.
Present.
Great.
Thank you. May we all rise for the flag salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we go to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by a roll call vote as one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If further discussion is desired by council members or the public, the item may be removed from the consent agenda to the regular agenda and considered separately. First on the consent agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes. To approve the minutes of the Pasco City Council remote meeting held on April 19, 2021, and the remote workshop held on April 26, 2021. Bills and communications to approve claims in the total amount of $4,191,506.44. An ordinance to adopt number 4532, creating a new chapter, 1.02, duty of enforcement, and amending chapter 9.95, chronic nuisances, in the Pasco Municipal Code related to the code enforcement, and further authorized publication by summary only. Next on the consent agenda, we have an ordinance, Northwest Sewer Utility Local Improvement District, interim financing and budget adjustment, and that's to adopt ordinance number 4533, relating to local improvement district number 151, converting LID number 151 into a utility local improvement district. And to adopt ordinance number 4534, amending the 2021-2022 biennial operating budget of the City of Pasco by providing supplement thereto to provide additional appropriations in the city's general and utility fund for the interim financing of utility local improvement district number 151, and further authorized publication by summary only. So with that is the agenda. On the consent agenda, would you like to entertain a motion?
Absolutely, Mayor. I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
There's been a motion to approve the consent agenda as read. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Milne. And we'll have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Serrano.
Yes.
Alvarado.
Yes.
Maloney.
Yes.
Milne.
Yes.
Roach.
Yes.
Barajas.
Yes.
And Martinez.
Yes. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, we go to proclamations and acknowledgements. And tonight we have a proclamation, May 2021 for Asian American and Pacific Islander Month. And I will go ahead and read the proclamation. And then from there, we can we have a guest that would like to say some words. But today, we have the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, May 2021. Whereas the month of May was chosen as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese citizen, Nakahama Manjiro, to the United States on May 7th, 1843, but also the anniversary of the May 10th, 1869 completion of the first transcontinental railroad, built with the back-breaking labor of nearly 20,000 Chinese immigrants. And whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander heritage in the United States was celebrated beginning in 1978 and was made into a month-long event in 1992. And whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month seeks to honor and recognize the contributions of residents from Asia, India, and the Pacific Islands. And whereas Asian American Pacific Islander have distinguished themselves as leading researchers in science, medicine, and technology, innovative farmers and ranchers, distinguished lawyers and judges, and government leaders in the arts, literature, and sports, as war heroes who defended our country from fascism, and peacetime healthcare heroes currently on the front lines of the pandemic. Whereas we celebrate the achievements and contributions of the Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders that enrich our history, society, and culture, we must also acknowledge a darker aspect of the AAPI experience in America's structural discrimination, prejudice, and injustice that most recently manifested itself in racist attacks on Asian Americans related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas racially motivated discrimination and harassment is at a high with the national spike in hate crimes against the AAPI community, especially targeting its Muslim, South Asian, and Southeast Asian members. And whereas during AAPI Heritage Month, we acknowledge the additional determination, hard work, and perseverance AAPI must put forth to be heard, and seeing that these additional efforts are a result of inequitable, institutional, and systematic injustices. And whereas today more than 20 million Asian American Pacific Islanders live in the United States, and through their actions make America a more vibrant and prosperous and secure nation. And now, whereas I, Saul Martinez, Mayor of the City of Pasco, Washington, on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim May 1st through May 31st as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So with that, it's very special. And tonight I'd like to introduce our Senior Policy Analyst, Angela Pichon.
So, good evening, Mayor and Council. So the proclamation tonight was brought forth by the Arts and Culture Commission. So continuously working on bringing forward opportunities to recognize different culture and heritage in our community. In addition to the proclamation, they also reached out to Dr. Yi-Chen Cooper, who is going to provide a short presentation tonight about a cultural event going on here in the community. So I'm going to do a brief presentation or introduction for her. She is an artist, an educator, an author, and an arts advocate. She's an adjunct professor and a field supervisor at Washington State University, Tri-Cities. She serves as the chair of the Asian Arts and Culture Interest Group at National Art Education Association. She was the president of the World Chinese Arts Education Association from 2017 to 2021, the chair of Data Visualization Working Group, and an art commissioner at the City of Richland. In 2009, with the help of the Tri-Cities Chinese American Association, Chinese Language School, and Richland Public Library, she founded Asian Americans Awareness Art and Culture Exhibition, now AAPI Arts and Culture Exhibition. So tonight she's going to provide a short presentation. There's a PowerPoint for Zach. And then are you online?
I believe so.
I know I saw you log in. Okay. Are you able to speak? Let's see here. Sorry about this.
That's okay.
See. Okay. Let's see here. And Doctor. Let's see here. You might have, if you have a different microphone option, I would suggest switching that. And then Mayor, I don't know if any of the individuals here tonight wanted to speak. I can call Doctor if there's any.
Absolutely, you can
Okay.
try calling and
Yeah.
either
Thank you.
calling and maybe even over the phone if it comes down to that.
Okay.
Anybody from council have any comments or? Councilmember Roach?
I'll just open it by saying that, my mom wanted to be here. She's Pakistani American, but she is observing the month of Ramadan. So she's fasting today, and her fast breaks in about 45 minutes. So she wanted to be close to her water and her food and then be able to pray. And so she was really excited to hear about this and know that City of Pasco is making steps towards being more inclusive of all of its residents. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Councilmember Roach.
So she said that she's speaking, but she can't hear. But would my phone up to the microphone work?
Yes.
Okay.
You hear me?
Oh,
Yeah, you can have it.
that's not gonna work. Do we call into that one?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have the call-in number?
Not handy. Can you call her number from that?
While she's trying to get the doctor on the line, I just want to appreciate everyone who's here tonight. I know this is something special for you all, and we're just glad to have you here tonight, and I hope you feel honored by this. So do we have, Dr. Cooper, can you hear us?
Yes.
So you might have to turn the speaker on the computer off.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So, Doctor, you're going to need to turn off any speakers you have on your end because it's giving us some feedback.
Okay. I already turned off the microphone on my end.
Okay. Let's do this one.
It's got feedback.
You can just put it on high, maybe?
Is it better now?
Okay, let's try it now.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Technology, right? Okay. Dear Mayor and Pasco City Council members, good evening. It is an honor to stand before you to share with my experience in advocating the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the Tri-Cities. And thanks, Angela, to introduce me nicely. And I will begin my presentation. Next slide, please. Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have enriched American history many, many years. As a rapidly growing minority, they have been instrumental in contributing to the success of the U.S. economy, education, and culture. However, their voices tend to be hidden from the public, in part because of the long-lasting impact of systematic policies such as 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act and Executive Order of 9066 that suppressed and muffled Asian Americans. In part because, like many new immigrants with limited English proficiency, they face day-to-day challenges in pursuing their American dreams. Next slide, please. I believe that honoring one another's heritage is an act of inclusiveness. As a new immigrant, searching for ways to navigate unexpected intersections of culture and identity is one of my instincts for survival. Growing up on Taiwanese culture, where silence is a virtue, I did not know when and how to be heard. I was haunted by questions such as, who am I? What does a community mean to me? And where is my community? Through active art advocacy, I gradually am understanding that it is not about waiting for a community to accept me, nor about searching for a way to fit in. It is about whether I accept myself as a member of the community. I am part of a collaborative force that folds and reshapes the landscape. Therefore, finding proactive approach to create meaningful dialogues became a way for me to connect with people. Next slide, please. Asian American and Pacific Islander Art and Culture Exhibition, formerly called as Asian American Art and Culture Exhibition, was started from a conversation between me and then director, Richland Public Library Director, Dr. Ann Rosemary in 2009. Since its first exhibition in 2010, it has become a grassroots effort to bring unity and awareness to cultural diversity and inclusiveness in the Tri-Cities. In the past decade, AAPI Art and Cultural Exhibition acts as a liaison to inform and connect traditional knowledge with a variety of art forms. Each year, we pay tribute to the generation of Asian and Pacific Islanders' contributions and achievements through artistic lens. Next slide, please. Throughout the years, this month-long exhibition has become an important platform for people to connect. Through art and shared experience, we featured regional, national, and international artists. In the past decade, this exhibition highlighted various art forms including photography, painting, visual art, paper cutting, puppetry, filmmaking, dance, drama, martial arts, and music, and even culinary art from AAPI cultures. Next slide, please. We also included performance and educational hands-on workshops to provide engaging aesthetic experience for tri-citizens. From visual display to participatory activities, they become gateways for viewers to reflect upon intersecting issues in our society. Next slide, please. The exhibition has always been about community building. Over the years, we have established sustainable and collaborative partnerships with regional organizations and businesses. Encouraging students to participate is also part of the community engagement efforts that we've been doing for years. Next slide, please. My involvement as a city art commissioner in the past has shed light on how art and culture become creative agents that can sustain, secure, and support a city's identity. Indeed, art transcends language barriers and physical boundaries. Telling Asian American and Pacific Islander stories through art allow us to meaningfully connect with innovative thinkers and creative makers. In the time of pandemic, where uncertainty has fueled hate crimes against Asian Americans and minorities around the globe, it is vital to highlight art and cultural vibrancy in the AAPI community. Therefore, I sincerely invite everyone to visit the 11th AAPI Art and Cultural Exhibition at the Richland Public Library. The exhibition will be the whole month long till the end of May. Thank you for listening, and thank you for inviting me tonight.
Get it? Thank you, Dr. Cooper. Appreciate you sharing with this tonight. It's a beautiful presentation, and just appreciate you sharing with us tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I wish you well. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Is that all? Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you once again, everybody who wanted to come and represent themselves here with this proclamation. So again, we appreciate you very much. Next, we're going to go to. Well, I guess before I keep going, was there anybody from the audience that would like to just give a little less than 3-minute presentation on anything they want to share? I guess I'll open it up. Okay. Okay, go ahead. We'll give one person an opportunity.
Mayor Martinez, City Council. My name is.
Yep. Yeah, and I was going to ask you, please, if you could just state your name, that'd be wonderful.
Good evening. My name is Scott Lehrman. I'm Asian American, Japanese American. My mother is Japanese. I appreciate you guys passing this resolution this evening. I have 4 Japanese American children, 3 of which are here tonight. One is at Chiawana this evening playing basketball, and I excuse my casual dress here. I just came from coaching youth softball, but I appreciate what you guys are doing here. My family, although we don't speak about it, has went through a lot of discrimination over the years. And like Dr. Cooper said, for a lot of families, you know, it's systemic. It's voices have been muffled. My mother was born in 1950 in southern Idaho, about 10 miles from an internment camp. So as she grew up, she had 5 siblings. None of them learned any Japanese because at the time, my grandparents did not want to speak Japanese or be known as Japanese. My grandfather served in World War II in Nuremberg. Never spoke of any of those experiences. Both my grandparents, my grandfather just passed. He was 98 years old. My grandmother's 98 years old as well. Never spoke of any racism or anything that she endured until she had got Alzheimer's about 10 years ago. She's had Alzheimer's for 10 years. And the stories started coming out about being a nurse, having people walk into the operating rooms, nursing rooms where she were and saying, I don't want that Jap to work on me. But again, it was muffled because she didn't have opportunities to share. So, you know, I have multiple stories like that throughout my family. So anything we can do as a community to lift up the voices of minorities that are, you know, underrepresented and give them chances to speak and understand and just listen, learn with empathy is much appreciated. So I appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lehrman. Appreciate what you also do for our community as well. All right, thank you. Now we'll move on. Next, we have visitors other than agenda items. This item is provided to allow citizens the opportunity to bring items to the attention of the City Council or to express an opinion on an issue. Its purpose is not to provide a venue for debate or for the posing of questions with the expectation of an immediate response. Some questions require consideration by council over time and after a deliberative process with input from a number of different sources. Some questions are best directed to staff members who have access to specific information. Citizen comments will normally be limited to 3 minutes, each by the mayor. Those with lengthy messages are invited to summarize their comments and or submit written information for consideration by the council outside of formal meetings. And is there anybody in the audience that has something that's not on the agenda? And we do have one community member who has requested to comment tonight in this section of the meeting. And do we have Justin Carey on the line?
He is showing on the line. I have unmuted him from our end. He will need to unmute on his end
Okay.
in order to speak.
Mr. Justin Carey? And tonight's agenda topic you wish to address is Planned Parenthood in Pasco. Can you hear us tonight, Mr. Carey? Mr. Carey, can you hear us now? We're having some technical difficulties, but we'll try to get it resolved here real quick. Let's see here. So,
We show him unmuted on our end, but obviously we can't hear him yet.
okay. Let's see, do we have a phone number for him? Because what we could do is move on, and then if we get him on the line, then he can give an opportunity. Nope. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll come back to this item number 6, visitors and other than agenda items, and we'll move on to item number 7, reports from committees and/or officers. Do we have any council members that would like to report on anything that they have done over the week? Councilmember Milne.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This last week I did attend the opening of the Reynolds Middle School. I guess it was named after Ray Reynolds, who was a longtime Pasco High School principal. And again, it was a phenomenal school. I really enjoyed checking it out. And if you ever get a chance to drive by it on Burns Road, I'd really tell you to do it because it's a very, very nice school. So it was a pleasure representing the city on that.
Thank you for attending that, Mr. Milne. Anybody else? Oh,
Yes,
Mayor Pro
Mayor,
Tem?
thank you for that. We'll take that into consideration, drive by, possibly go in. Just wanted to report real quick, I dropped in, visited Grace Kitchen. Grace Kitchen is a small not-for-profit organization started by Amanda and her husband Devin Lorraine. Here on the old mission for the men. They are empowering women that are coming back from difficult situations like incarceration or trafficking, and teaching them basic life skills. So I was able to drop in. The women were there learning how to create pasta, do pasta. The organization that sells this pasta to help fund some of its trainings. So I encourage the council, the community that's watching this, drop by, visit Grace Kitchen. They are taking donations. They are taking any type of donation, any type of assistance. Again, this is to empower women that have come from difficult backgrounds and trying to reintegrate into society. And we did bring in, I say we, a couple of the area resource officers accompanied me. There was a birthday celebration, so we dropped in with the birthday cake for some of the girls that were there. They were super excited. They've never experienced a gesture like this before, and it was endearing. There was tears. Again, they've had a really rough background, and just a small gesture as a cake and flowers can brighten up their day. So if you guys are able to drop by, share some encouraging words with them, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Barajas. And I just real quickly before we put Mr. Carey on the line, I just want to share that I participated in a radio announcement for the Hispanic community to motivate them to go get vaccinated. Everybody over 16 years old is eligible to go get free vaccinations. And then we had a meeting, the 4 mayors of the Tri-Cities and West Richland had a meeting with DOE Manager Brian Vance to go over some issues that, and educating us on the issue that they're having with one of the leaking tanks that is not a threat to the public and not a threat to the workers out there. So with that, that takes care of item number 7, but we're gonna go ahead and come back to public comments for those things that are not on the agenda by Mr. Justin Carey. And we'll get him on the line.
There we go.
Oh, shut.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I wanted to say real quick to start, Mayor Pro Tem Barajas, I appreciate you promoting Grace Kitchen, a wonderful ministry going on downtown Pasco. As for my regular comments, I wanted to say I'm grateful to speak with you tonight about the Constitution and the founders and how that applies to you. The founders separated powers to prevent tyranny, but they didn't just separate it among the 3 branches, but also among the 3 levels of government, federal, state, and local. You obviously govern at the local level. Though perceived as the weakest, you are the most powerful because you are closest to the people. Regardless of the level, however, you take an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and Washington, which represents natural or God-made law. These are non-negotiable facts. The government's job is to uphold the rights of all the people given by God and enumerated in the state and federal constitutions. Since these rights are God-given, your authority is God-given. Consequently, it is your duty to check other levels of government, to stand against unjust laws. Thus far, the excuse I hear from local government, many officials, is my hands are tied, or we have to follow the governor's orders. But you aren't the governor's henchman. You don't serve him or any other person, especially when the laws are unjust. Capitulation never works. Do you think those who violate the Constitution and God's law are going to suddenly give back what they've stolen without a stand? You must stand in the gap for the citizens who have elected you. Your authority lies in your conscience and your character, which comes from the Holy Spirit. And I know at least 5 of you are professing Christians, and you are called to follow God's law instead of man's law, especially when it's unjust. And so my call to action is pretty simple. It's the defense of life. You have an organization, Planned Parenthood, operating on Court Street with a special license. God's law is violated there as they refer women to have abortions and make hundreds of thousands of dollars ending lives. Uphold your oath and your faith and rescind their special license to operate, then place a moratorium on any future abortion-promoting businesses, just as you rightly have banned strip clubs, porn peddlers, and pot shops. Lives are being ended by abortion at a rate of 180 Franklin County babies per year, which is 70 more deaths than alleged to have died of COVID in a year, for which we are still up in arms. Don't fear a lawsuit. Don't fear the Attorney General. It's your duty to interpose for your citizens, especially those who can't fight for themselves. What does the Holy Spirit tell you? Don't capitulate. Just following orders didn't work at Nuremberg, and it shouldn't work here. If you won't stand for the least of these, who will you stand for? Thank you.
Mr. Carey, thank you very much. Mr. Carey, thank you very much for your call. Your comments are, received to the council, and appreciate your words tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And that's all we have for public comment, unless there's anybody else in the audience. All right. And we'll move right along to the next item on the agenda, which is 7B, General Fund Monthly Report. And we have Director Richa Sigdal. Do we have you on the line?
Yes, can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
I can hear you. Good evening, Director Richa.
Great. Good evening. Nothing new or exciting with this general fund report, which is always a good news. I would like to remind council that very likely next week I will have some more information to you regarding what I would call the ARPA funds, which is the American Rescue Plan Act. The city is expected to receive close to $18 million. And we have broad guidelines in terms of what these funds would be eligible for. However, we are waiting for the first half of the allocation, which is anticipated to be received in a week on May 10th. And with that, we would receive details on exactly how, what is expected in terms of backup to create our programs to help our residents and also invest in our infrastructure and many other items that these funds can be used for. As a reminder, these funds thankfully can be utilized by the end of 2024, which gives us a lot longer period than we got for our local CARES Act allocation that we got last year. So I will have more news to you, hopefully by next Monday. We are anticipated to get some more details and half of that $18 million into our bank accounts by May 10th. And with that, if you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you, Director Rita Sigdel. Any questions or comments by the council? All right, well, thank you very much for your presentation, your report. And if there's no further questions, we'll move right along. So we'll go on to item number 8, hearings and council actions on ordinances and resolutions relating thereto, none listed. And then we have ordinances and resolutions not relating to hearings. And we have a budget amendment 20009, Road 68 widening south of I-182. Director Sigdel, would you like to give a report on that?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is again in the vein of giving the budget ordinance or requesting the budget ordinance from Council on a regular basis rather than doing it at the end of the year as we've historically done it. In this specific scenario, we actually had more allocation from our funding agency than what we had included in the budget as we requested during the 2021-2022 biennial budget for this project, which is the Road 68 widening south of I-182. And essentially, this is no impact to the city's internal funds, but of course, any check that the city cuts to any contractor or employee in form of payroll, the council has to approve. So we're requesting an increase in authorization, which would come from this external agency, which I believe is the WSDOT, through the SDP, just Surface Transportation Program or Pavement Program. Mr. Worley will probably correct me on this. And we're requesting an additional funding that will be fully covered by the granting agency.
Thank you, Director Sigdel. So any questions or comments from the council? Councilmember Alvarado.
Just a quick question, if I guess as we have amendments or things of that nature, if this is different than in previous years, just to call that out, perhaps at the end of the year to remind us of the different amendments that happen, that would be pretty helpful.
Absolutely, we will make sure to give you a summary at the end of all of the actions taken by the council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just have a technical question as to how far the project extends south. Is it, I know that's not a budget question, but just a question for staff.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. The project that is the subject of this item goes to Chapel Hill Boulevard to the south.
So it's ends
From I
that's
to
the most
south.
southerly point is Chapel Hill Boulevard? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Roach. If there's no other questions or comments, would you like to entertain a motion?
Absolutely, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance number 4535, amending the 2021-2022 biennial operation budget of the City of Pasco, Washington, by providing supplement thereto to provide additional grant appropriation in the city's general construction fund for the construction of Road 68 widening south of I-182 and further authorize publication by summary only.
So there's been a motion to adopt ordinance number 4535. Do I hear a second? Councilmember Maloney. Well, seconded by Councilmember Maloney. So with that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. It passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution for professional services supplement agreement number 3 with JUB Engineers for the Lewis Street overpass. Director Worley, would you like to present the report tonight?
You bet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This item is a amendment to the professional services agreement with JUB Engineers. As council may recall in previous presentations recently on some fairly large projects, we typically contract with the design engineer to provide additional services during the construction phase of a project. Many times there are issues that come up during construction that require the engineer of record to either provide clarification or to maybe even come up with a change order based on a situation that occurs during construction. And so that's what this amendment will do for JUB. They designed the Lewis Street Overpass project, and we are recommending that we enter into a contract with them to provide this service. They will also provide the conformed set of drawings for the contractor, which means that the final drawings will include all of the addendums that were issued during the bid process. And at the end of the project, they will also assist with the closeout procedures, which is a very important part of our project. And they will also provide the as-built drawings for the project as well, which is very important for us. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Worley. Any questions or comments from the council? I think it's pretty straightforward. With that, would you like to entertain a motion, Mayor Pro Tem?
Absolutely, Mayor. I move to approve resolution number 4056, authorizing the city manager to execute supplement number 3 for the professional services agreement, PSA, with JUB Engineers Incorporated for the Lewis Street Overpass project.
All right, so there's a motion to approve resolution number 4056. Do I hear a second?
Second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Milne. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It passes unanimously. Thank you to Director Worley. Next, we have a resolution setting public hearing date for the Gavel-to-gavel Street vacation portion of Road 97. Director Rick White, are you on the line?
I am, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, and thank you, council. Again, this item only addresses setting the public hearing for this proposed street vacation, which is right-of-way established while the property was in Franklin County. It's located on Road 97, about halfway between Argent and Court Street. Interestingly enough, this proposed vacation will epitomize several of the development issues associated with increased urbanization of the former Riverview County Island. So just as a way of notifying council about the agenda report upcoming for the June 7th meeting, there will be a number of issues identified and frankly complications associated with this proposed vacation. And these are symptomatic of the kinds of things staff addresses literally every day once development proposals are received in the former county island. However, tonight's agenda item only sets the hearing, and obviously there will be more information coming towards council as we get closer to the June 7th meeting date.
Thank you, Director White. Any questions or comments from the council? Again, this is just a motion to set a date for the hearing. If there is none, would you like to entertain a motion, Mayor Pro Tem Barajas?
Absolutely, Mayor. I move to approve resolution number 4057, a resolution setting 7 p.m. Monday, June 7, 2021, as the time and date to conduct a public hearing to consider vacating a portion of Road 97.
All right, there's a motion to approve resolution number 4057. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilmember Serrato. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Again, it passes unanimously. Thank you for that, Council. And 10, we go to item number 10, unfinished business. There's none listed. We have item number 11, new business, and there's none listed. And we go to item number 12, miscellaneous discussion. And I believe City Manager Dave Zabel, would you like to present miscellaneous discussion?
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a few things. I did want to note the good work of the Arts and Culture Commission, who pulled the resolution recognizing Asian American Pacific Islander Month, that proclamation, excuse me. And I just think they've really taken to their mission, and they're really getting after it. So kudos to them. And then I did want to note we have a PFD meeting tomorrow evening, 4 p.m. actually. We're going to be reporting to them on funding options, and I think a pretty good discussion on that with respect to that project. Been quite a bit of analysis the last several weeks on what the potential might be on a sales tax option for the proposed aquatics facility. And then just to note, we obviously didn't see an announcement about phase 2 or phase 3 over the weekend. I checked online right before the meeting. They're expecting sometime tomorrow the governor will be making an announcement. There is some question with respect to where we are at on bed utilization. That recall that there's 2 factors that are being considered right now, and we're clearly well over the cases per 100,000 factor. That's 200, and we're up over 300. We've been kind of holding steady between 3 and 320, I think, today, but it skyrocketed up there from 180. So we're kind of happy to see it flatten out a bit. But bed utilization may not be as bad as initially thought. Don't know if that's going to get us within the parameter that keeps us in 3. We'll know more about that tomorrow. So the health district is working on that today. So that's all I had.
Thank you, City Manager Dave Zabel. And I guess I would like to just add to that, the statistics show, and I can be corrected if I'm not correct, but many of the positive cases have been between the ages of 16 and 39. So it's the younger age population that's being affected. And with that, I imagine is the reason why we're not really skyrocketing on the hospital rates. But I just want to encourage everybody to continue. Please take care of you and your family. Do what you got to do to keep our community and your family safe. And we just I just wanted to share that to just keep motivating it for us to go the right direction so we can continue back to a place of normalcy if we can get there. Anybody else have anything to share on miscellaneous? Nope. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. We go to item number 13. Is there a need for an executive session tonight?
Not this evening.
No need for executive session. So with that, it is 7:50, and this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much, Council.